Hello and welcome back. My name is Mark Eremenko, and this is the second tutorial on the theme of pursuit. This is a slightly harder position than the previous one. If you wish, you may pause this video and try find the winning move. The winning move is knight takes on e7. And after knight captures on e7, queen takes on f6 check, and after the king takes on f6, bishop to d4 check, king to g5, bishop to e3 check, king to h3, and so on. This will eventually lead to a threefold repetition, causing the game to end in a draw. So, how do we find this move? First, we have to look at the whole board and evaluate our options. Notice that in this position, white is at a disadvantage. White has a knight against a rook and a pawn. This makes me personally think, is there a way to draw out this game? The opponent has very weak control over the black squares. For instance, white possesses the black bishop on e3, staring down the diagonal c1, h6, and we have a queen also on a black square, controlling the diagonal b1, h8. Next, what we should notice, if the black king would end up on either of these squares, then the white bishop could move freely, continuously checking him, and there is no way to avoid it. So, how do we decoy the king into stepping onto one of these squares? The first thing that comes to mind is to take the knight on f6, but the problem is that it is defended by the pawn on e7. So, let's get rid of the defender first. So, white plays knight to e7. Thus, the only remaining defender of the knight on f6 is the king. And after knight takes on e7, queen takes on f6 check, and the rest is history. An important thing to mention here is that you absolutely have to calculate this maneuver all the way through to the end. Let's say, for instance, black didn't have this pawn on f7. Then, after king takes and bishop checks on d4, the black king could have just easily escaped to f7, and white would definitely lose this game. Hello and welcome to the third tutorial on pursuit. My name is Mark Eremenko, and in this tutorial we'll have a look different position, which I'm sure you guys are excited about. In the first two tutorials, we looked at white being at a disadvantage and trying to draw out the game. In this tutorial, we'll have a look at a proper pursuit of the black king. Now, with that in mind, pause the video and see if you can find the winning move. Have you found it? Well done if you did. The winning move is bishop to h7 check. King takes on h7, then queen to h5 check. King has to jump back to g8, and then rook to h3. Now, originally, black was hoping to take this pawn before white sacrificed their bishop. Now, however, if black takes this pawn, then queen to h8 checkmate. In this position, black has two moves. Let us first look at the variation, which is pawn to f6. In this case, white still plays queen to h8. King has only one move to f7. Pawn to g6 check. King has to take. And then queen to h5 checkmate. That wasn't much of a chase, don't you agree? Now, let's look at the real deal. So, after rook to h3, The better move for black is f5. And now let the chase begin. g6, threatening queen to h8 checkmate. So even if the black king now moves to f8, attempting to move away from this checkmate, there is no further moves for the black king, as the square f7 is controlled by the pawn on g6. The bishop is in the way, preventing the black king from moving to e7, and the queen will be controlling e8. So, after pawn to g6, the only way black can survive is if they move their bishop, creating space for the king. Bishop to h4. After queen takes on h4, king to f8, queen to h8 check, king to e7, queen takes on g7 check, king to d6, queen to e5 check, and after king to d7, rook to h7 check. From here, black can either move to c8, which would result in checkmate by queen taking queen on c7, or black can move to e8, and then queen to h8 checkmate. So, how to find this move? Something that makes me think straight away about the sacrifice is that the black king isn't really defended. And the fact that we have our queen and our rook that can align together and join the attack makes me think in this direction. But I will stress that in the case of pursuit, more often than not, you'll sacrifice pieces. So in order to assure victory, you have to calculate it all the way through to the end, every possible variation. What if black does this or this? Of course, if you can start and finish the maneuver using only forcing moves, you have nothing to worry about. However, you still have to calculate it all the way from start to finish. Because if a situation occurs where you sacrificed, let's say, a bishop, a queen, a rook, and you didn't get your checkmate, chances are you're going to lose the game. Hello and welcome to the fourth tutorial on the theme of pursuit. In this position, white to move. The winning maneuver for white is just incredible. And this position was taken from a game played between Lasker and Thomas in London in 1911. So, if you wish, you may pause this video and try find that winning move. Have you found it? If you found queen takes on h7 check, that means you have mastered pursuit and know how to calculate the maneuver from start to finish. Let us have a look at this position. King has to take on h7. And after that, knight takes on f6 check. You can't take knight because it's a double check, so the king has to move. From here, the black king has two options. The black king can either move to h6 or h8. If the black king moves to h8, it is followed by a quick checkmate, knight to g6, checkmate. However, this is pursuit, and we want to be chasing something. So let us look at the other variation. After knight takes on f6 check, king goes to h6. After that, knight from e to g4 check. So from here, the king only has one move to g5. Notice how the white bishop is controlling the diagonal b1 to h7, and the white knight on f-file is controlling h5. So, after king to g5, h4 check, king to f4, g3 check, king to f3, bishop to e2 check, king to g2, rook to h2 check, and after king to g1, king to d2 checkmate. How about that? The main observation we can make based on this game is that the winning maneuver for white is extremely long. But as you saw now, white used forcing moves all the way through, so sacrificing a queen isn't a problem. But the key factor is you have to calculate from start to finish. And maybe at first it will be hard, but the more often you do it, not only does it become easier to calculate these long maneuvers, but also you tend to spot moves like queen to h7 more often. So I encourage you to solve the puzzles prepared for you at the end of this section and try and calculate all the maneuvers from start to finish. In the next lecture, I'll analyze a game played between two grandmasters of chess where this motif happened to win the game. Hello and welcome. My name is Mark Eremenko, and today we'll be looking at the motif of pursuit. More often than not, the term pursuit is used to refer to positions where you chase the opponent's king across the board. The key factor in this motif is to calculate the entire chase from start to finish in order to know how many pieces you can afford to sacrifice. Because it is sometimes the case that you get so involved in pursuing the opponent's king, that you end up sacrificing just that one too many pieces, which ends up costing you the game. Sometimes this maneuver is used to chase the king around in order to trap him in a position where you can continuously check him to get a stalemate. So I propose that we start our analysis with such a position. As you can see in the position set out in front of you, white is at a considerable disadvantage. We should try and bring this game to a draw. How to do so? Can you see it? Okay, let us first analyze this position. It should be noted that should it be black's turn to move, they can checkmate white in one move. Rook to h3, checkmate. Another thing to notice is that none of the white pieces other than the rook can move. The pawns obviously cannot advance forward, and the king is at the moment trapped by the queen and the rook. So, hypothetically speaking, if we were to lose the rook, it would be a draw. Because as soon as the rook is taken, it's white's turn to move, and we cannot move. Another very important thing to notice is that the black king cannot leave this square f8 to h6. How is that so? The white rook is currently cutting him off on the e file, and the pawns on h4 and f4 are denying access to the square g5. So, the winning move in this position is rook to e7 check. After that, let's suppose king goes to f6, trying to escape. Then rook to e6 check, and if king takes on e6, it's a stalemate. So if king can't take, maybe the bishop can take. No, it's a stalemate again. So the king has to move away. And it'll just keep going until we achieve the threefold repetition. So, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Have a great day. And just remember, practice makes perfect.